Hey there everybody, good morning. This is Rod Camp here from Jetboard Australia. Welcome to our showroom. This is Jetboard Australia's headquarters, warehouse, showroom, where all the all the new boards are distributed from. So what we've got today is something really cool. This is the brand new Titanium DFI 2023 model. Very good customer of mine, which is actually, this is his third new board he's bought off me. And fourth in total. He had a used board prior, so he's very excited. We did a little bit of a demo on it recently. You might have seen some of that on Facebook. So I'm going to unpack this today, organised to get it sent off to him, show him show you guys actually what's in the box, what Titanium's all about, and yeah, very cool toy. So let's go through the process. So first thing I guess you do, let's get the box opened. Jetsurf have a really great box. They have packing all around and straps, which I've already removed. And then, yeah, open she goes. So what we've got in here, obviously, first things first is you get your little trolley. This goes onto the bag. Fantastic for when you're traveling, airports, even just moving it from you know, your house into your car. That slips into the back of the bag and makes wheeling the board around really easy, and I'll show you how that goes in a sec. So that's the wheels, and then under here is the board. So not only that is in the bag is the stand, and everything Jetsurf do is just beautifully done. You know, all the bags and the way they're packed and everything is just really good quality stuff. So this is our stand. Okay, let's get him out of the box. They're super light, only about 18.5 kilos, so no hassles getting them out. Obviously they're strapped in, that keeps them in the box nicely. Jetsurf now have the barcode on them, so if you receive the board before I do a pre-delivery on it, you can actually warranty register it with the barcode and get some information on writing, tips, how to use it, that sort of stuff. So that's quite smart. The other thing that's really nice here is the packing in it. What they do for transport is they put this foam packer on the back, and that protects the back of the board. The ride plate itself is quite sharp, can cut the bag, and obviously it's made of carbon fibre, which is strong, but it can get a bump. So that's on the back. Okay, let's get out of the box, get it on the stand, and go through it. So nice and light, as I said, 18.5 kilos, easy to manage. We'll just stick it there out of the way. And while we're here, we might as well look at the bag. So in the bag, books and manuals. They're all in here. Nice waterproof case. It gives you a certificate for the board with all the VIN number and details on it in there. And information on the board and where to get it from. So all in a waterproof case. Comes with a little bag that you can use on race days and stuff like that, so you can keep your ID and stuff in it with that. So yeah, again, nicely made stuff. So let's get the bag out and I'll show you how the wheels and everything work. So stick that up there. So underneath, again, good quality stuff. Velcro comes undone. This is where your wheels sit. Grab them. It's as simple as sliding it in like that, and then Velcro on over. Good to go. The other cool thing here is obviously there's a backpack compartment here. So you unzip this, pull your backpack straps out, and then in the bottom section of that you have the straps here. So it's just a matter of clipping the straps on, boom, and one here, boom, and then yeah, you have a backpack, chest harness, the whole shebang. And it's surprisingly very comfortable. I've done this many times, walked down the beach with a board on my back, and yeah, easy to manage. Okay, so here we are, out of the box, on the stand. So basically, just to go through the board, standard control handle on the Titanium, same as all the other models. You can set up to suit your height by adjusting the handle there. Obviously, your magnet start stop in there, and of course you can put your throttle restrictor in there as well. So pretty standard stuff. We'll swing that out of the way for the moment. Then from there we have our ratchet heel up bindings. So I'll open them up a bit. So obviously once you get your foot into those bindings, what you do is you lean down and you ratchet yourself in nice and snug. And that's personal preference. I like mine firm, but not too tight, so that if I need to get out, I can. But if you want to get serious, you can really lock yourself in. So that's personal preference. As I said before too, you can actually lock your toes over the end of these bindings. They've got a two-step type arrangement on there. So yeah, very, very cool. Obviously, all the Jetsurf stuff is carbon fiber, and these guys do a beautiful job with carbon fiber. You know, have a look at the finish on that board. Magnificent. So yeah, very cool. So let's get inside here. We'll get this little barcode strap off, and I'll warranty register that board for that customer shortly. I could show you on my phone, but my phone's actually taking the footage today, so we won't worry about that now. So obviously your standard 4-latch arrangement, which you get on all your boards. Cover comes off, sits there nicely. So inside there is your 100cc fuel injected 2-stroke engine. The difference with the fuel injection in the titanium is that it is actually throttle body fuel injection rather than transport fuel injection or transfer port fuel injected, to get that right. So it produces better throttle response and more power with that system, I believe. They have a little bag of absorbent in there, get rid of all the moisture in the board, because every one of these boards that come out of the factory are water tested before they put in the box and sent out. So they're factory tuned and factory load tested, so that everything's right before they come. So I have had no boards ever that have failed straight out of the box. So yeah, beautiful quality control. So then from there, the most important thing here is obviously the titanium exhaust, and hence this is why this board is called titanium. It has a titanium exhaust, and that couples with some very aggressive motorcycle, motocross type porting in there. I wouldn't say it was as aggressive as motocross porting, but along those sort of lines in comparison with the other boards that have more milder porting. And then of course they have a titanium tuned exhaust, and that's where the big difference lies. And when the board is fired up, you'll hear the difference there too. It's got a real crack to it. They sound like a little YZ125 almost. So yeah, very cool. Unlike the newer boards, which they're all looking at trying to be quieter and quieter, this being a race bred model, it's not ridiculously noisy, and a lot of guys that test rode it were quite surprised how quiet it was, but a little bit noisier than the normal boards because of it's a performance board, and they use it for short circuit racing, of course. So then from there, well, what we'll do is I'm going to fire this one up. So the first thing we need to do is charge it. So we'll get the charger organised and get that on the go, and I'll get some fuel in it. So I'll just show you how the fuel tank comes out. Very, very simple. It's got a fuel line quick connector there. Just below that is a quick connector for the fuel pump, which sits below that. And then a simple Velcro strap, like that. And then holding that hose, that comes up to there. And then there's a little tube you'll see on the back there. And you push that little ring in, and that pulls the vent tube off. And that's how quick and easy the tank comes out. They suggest in the factory to fill the board with the tank external. The reason for that, I believe, is if you do spill fuel in the engine compartment, what happens is the fuel vapors upset the mixture of the engine, and when you go to take off, it runs like a hairy goat. It really does. So it takes 10 or 20 seconds to clear sometimes if you spill fuel in it. So if you're going to fuel these up with a tank in there, be aware that if you spill fuel, mop up as much as you can, and your first start's going to be a bit fuzzy. Once it clears, it's fine, but just be aware of that. And that's why the factory asks you to fill the tank outside the board, slip it in, no chance of fuel spillage, and you know, very limited chance of fire. But I've never seen one of these on fire, so I don't think that's going to happen. So that's the tank out. I'll get a charger organised and I'll show you what that's all about. So we'll put that there. But down in this back corner, you'll look for a cable that has a red cable tie on it. It's in a little dummy block off plate there, or block off plug, and it's designed to keep the water out of the plug whilst the board's been used. and then you plug that in to get charged. I've got a charger just here. I'll get one on the go. So this is the charger we looked at before, and basically plug it into there, and we'll get it plugged into the wall here. Yep, this is good to go. And as you can see, red light's on, it's being charged, and I'd imagine with a new board like this, within half an hour, that'll be green and that'll be good to go. So we'll let it charge for a few minutes. I'll get some fuel in the fuel tank. In fact, what I'll do with this board is I'll put a separate fuel tank in it out of one of my demo boards, run it on that, so when I transport it, the tank is completely dry and we don't have any issues with transport companies and fuel and that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's the basics there. The other things we can talk about while this is charging, I guess, is the jet pump and what's underneath. So at the back here, okay, so I'll spin the board around so you can get a better look. So at the back, they have this ride plate protector. It's designed to protect the ride plate and obviously protect the bag, because the ride plate is quite sharp and very solid in carbon fibre. That will cut the board. So the idea is you put that little protector on it to cover that. The other thing you'll notice when you look at a titanium compared to other boards is the nozzle. It's a lot thicker and it's smaller in diameter. This board produces a lot more power. So obviously nozzle strength is something that they've got to improve, and the smaller nozzle will give you more top end speed. So this board is between 5 and 10 kilometers an hour faster than any other boards in the brand, in the models. So with more horsepower, they can reduce the nozzle size and actually go faster. The other really cool thing, which you probably can't see, and maybe if I tip this board on its side, you'll see underneath, you see the winglet, which is there in the center. And that's fantastic. That's something that we've been involved with our experience with jet-powered products for a long, long time. Those winglets help load water into the jet pump. The old term back in my jet ski days was top loader. So the idea is when you're running through rough water, the foil loads water into the top half of the pump, which would normally be aerated. So you've got water coming in from the bottom half of the pump, the normal pump, what we call wedge, and then the foil throws water in the top half of the pump, which keeps the pump completely loaded. And that was the old term, top loader. So this works the same way. So in rougher conditions, the pump is loaded with water, and the more water it's loaded with, the more traction it gets, creates more vacuum and pulls the board into the water, gets you more drive. It makes a big difference. It was amazing the first time I tried one back in my jet ski race days, and the difference was phenomenal. In dead smooth water, it's probably actually makes you a smidgen slower, but in racing conditions and rough water conditions, it's chalk and cheese, a complete difference. So yeah, that's really cool. Obviously, the other thing you would have probably seen under there while I flipped that over is the adjustable fin boxes in it. So there is a variety of fin boxes you can buy for these to tune the board to exactly what you want to do. I find the fins closer together in a 3-fin arrangement, the board will turn more aggressively. And the wider the fins are between their points, the more stable the board is at high speed, and the more difficult it is to turn. So it's a matter of tuning it to, I guess, the track you're riding and your sort of feel more so as well. So they're very, very cool. So there's a variety of those, and they're on the website as well, you can check out. But anyway, that gets us the basics. We'll get it ready to fire up. Okay, well, what we're going to do now, we're going to put in a spare tank. One of my demo boards I've got over there that's all fueled up, ready to go. We're going to quickly start it, do a quick check over on it, and see how it goes. But it's a good way to show you guys on how the tank needs to go back in properly. So here's one. What do they say? Something I prepared earlier. Anyway, so what we've got is the breather tube. It's important that you put the breather tube on. If the breather tube's not, what will actually happen is the fuel tank will start to suck in, because it can't allow air back into the fuel tank as the fuel is used and burned up. So make sure that tube goes on. One thing to be careful of, when you put the tank back in, just make sure the tank strap goes in front of the breather tube like that. If you have it the other way, what can happen is it'll kink the tube. So make sure the breather tube sits behind the strap. And the trick is to stick it in at an angle. And there's a little rubber knob on the center of the board and a bump in the bottom of the tank. They slip in, lock into position, and then of course you do up your Velcro strap there. The breather tube we just tuck out of the way there. Then of course you put on the fuel pump fitting first. That's easier to do it first because it's below the fuel line and it makes it easy to get in, and then snap the fuel line in together like that. So that's it, tank's in. So what we'll do now is we'll what we call initialize the board, which basically wake up the ICU and get the board started. So the first thing to do is you put your magnet key in, and you can hear, first thing you hear is the water pump, or the bilge pump I should say, the bilge pump fire up, and then the green light will come on. When you remove it, the green light will continue to flash. That means the board's ready to go. So the next time I enter that, you will get 3 seconds and the board will start. Now probably first time around, because this engine hasn't been fired up and the fuel lines are empty, it'd probably take maybe 2 cranks before it starts. We'll give it a try now and see. So we'll put that in, and 1, 2, 3. And as you can see, running a little bit lean there as the fuel comes through it. This time round, she'll be good. And of course, remove the key and it stops. So yeah, that's cool. And that titanium, they make a bit of a bark. They're not as nasty once you get them in the water when the water's passing through them, because the exhaust is all water cooled, which takes a lot of noise out of it. But yeah, for us petrol heads and old guys that like 2 strokes, that's the business. Anyway, so from there, the board is still initialized. It will continue to flash like that for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then it will turn itself automatically. But if you want to turn the board off, you simply put the key into there and the board turns off. You would have noticed just before I turned that off, the bilge pump ran again. The bilge pump runs periodically while the engine, while the ICU is initialized. And if there is water in the bilge system or in the engine bay, it'll pump it out, or it'll just stop within about 3 minutes, I think it is. It'll fire up again. If it senses water and senses load, it'll continue to pump the water out. And they're a very efficient pump. They'll shoot from here to the camera. They're pretty full on. So that's it there. The other thing I'll show you too while we're at it, if you have the misfortune of flooding the engine, whether it comes in through the snorkel or comes back through the exhaust, what you do is you remove the spark plug, you tip the board up on its side, and you enter the key into the LED. And what that does, it cranks the engine over with the ignition off and also the spark off. So you spark off and fuel injection off. So the ignition isn't on, but it'll only rotate the board so that there's no chance of any problem with fire or spark. So as I said, I've never had one of these on fire, but that's just a safety feature. So the way it works is simply put it in. The LED will go white when I put it in there, and it'll continue to crank while you've got that magnet in there, and the idea that blows the water out. In fact, if you do have the misfortune of getting water in it, don't panic. It's not a big deal. Simply plug out, board on its side, crank it over till you stop. The water stops pumping through the cylinder. Clean the spark plug or replace it with a new one, and it fires up. And you can do it within 3 to 5 minutes and back in the water again. So that's all good. So anyway, that's a win there. Okay, board's all charged up. As you can see, the LED light is now green, which means it's charged, ready to go. That only took half an hour for a brand new board. When they're sent out of the factory, the charge is, I think 30% they set them out is the best that lithium-ion batteries sit without use. So that's all ready to go. I've already disconnected that there, and we'll slip the engine cover on. Tricks to the engine cover. If you don't put the engine cover on and then put all the little clips into their holes first, what will happen is you'll couple down and you won't get the third one or fourth one into the hole. So suggestion is put them all down into their little receptacles and then lock them into place with about quarter to half a turn. Job's done. I like to put the control in the footwell. A lot of people will put the control and the handle together like that. But what can happen is, if that accidentally comes in contact with air, I'll get it closer, the board can actually start. So it's not a good idea to keep that near the control. So I either cable tie the control on, put that somewhere else, but don't strap them on. I used to do that myself early days. What I've been trying to do lately is put that up there and then put that into your boot, and then that's safe as a house. Cool. Anyway, that's about us for this. I'm going to pack this up, send it off to the customer, and he's going to have a great time this weekend, I'm sure. And I'm sure he'll post plenty of videos, so we'll keep an eye on for him. So, all right, thanks for spending the time with us, and I hope you've learned something.